always welcome. This evening, I feel very joyful to be able to offer the Gnondro. Most evenings I do, but this evening I feel particularly joyful as it was handed down to me to many people through Adzam Pelo Rinpoche. And with his request, I feel happy that we are honoring that request. So it brings a lot of joy. And we're very lucky to have our resources for the Longqing Ningtig Gnondro. And the practice that we work with is the waves of splendor that Azam Pelo Rinpoche condensed for us to make it more approachable and adaptable and doable. And this evening, because of all of your requests, we are going to put together I realize we've been doing this spring, summer, and fall. So we're going to put together the 3 seasons of our practice. And there is more. But there was a request last week to start to see how the practice all works together and to go through it so that it can become a workable practice for people and a doable practice and an understandable practice. As you know, my emphasis has been on the understandable. And this evening, we're going to approach this as kind of a run through. So there'll be, in the beginning, a little bit less explanation so that we can see what the practice is all together. Okay. And I want to make sure that everyone knows we're working with the prayer book. We've been graciously given the permission to use the Don Mountain prayer book. And as you know, that I first met Azam Pelo Rinpoche with Ridzen Drolma, Dr. Ann Klein, and we both met him at Samye Chimpuk, which is very sacred for the Longqing Ningtig tradition. And it's an area above the first monastery of Tibet called Samye, so Samye Chimpuk. And the first prayer that we're going to do is one that we have not done here before in our class, but some of you who are taking the sessions with Adzam Gyaltse Rinpoche will recognize the Blazing Bliss, and other people will also recognize it because this is a prayer done in many monasteries in many different traditions. And what is it and why do the practices begin with the Great Blazing Bliss? So the Great Blazing Bliss, also called the Dechen Barwa, is the recognition of beings who are helping us. And they have the particular quality of magnetizing. And so each of their...
Okay.
Yeah. And everybody make sure you're muted. And so then the magnetizing is really important. There are different ways that we are helped. We are helped by enriching. And some of you have had the experience where all of a sudden something happens, maybe even dramatically, or there is an instant understanding or coming together of information, and you go, how in the world did that happen? And maybe not even practicing as much as one wants to. And this has a lot to do with our praises and our intentionality, and then the responsiveness of the universe of magnetizing. So magnetizing is something that happens instantaneously. So the Great Blazing Bliss, we are requesting by praising and saying the names of different deities and also energies, and also uh, both dakinis and people like Kurakuli, who is red Tara, and Amitabha, who is also red, and his Pure Land. So we are reaching out. And I think of it as something like going to a party or a networking or a meeting where there's a lot of interest to be there, but maybe not knowing everyone. So this is an introduction to beings who want to help us. And so by our praising them, recognizing them, then we create the connection, and then magnetizing can happen for the best interest of our practice. So we begin with the Dechen Barwa, and perhaps you've heard it before, and also it was playing before our session began. And so I will read it in English. There's a little bit of a tune that goes with it. As you'll find out, there is actually tunes for everything. So great bliss, blazing power, palace where wisdom ones know bliss and emptiness, blissful lotus ones with no wanting, Vajra sun, great glory shines from there. True form Amitabha, Dorje Cho, Loketesh, Lord, compassion, passionate, Lotus, Lord, master of world and peace, power, Heruka, outshines all things. Sangwa, Yeshe, Vajra, Varahi, Damchek, desire, king, great bliss, treasures. Mind muse, Rigjama, rules all mudras, high, low, dancing in bliss, emptiness. Power wielding Dakin Daki host, you know, seen and empty as the same. You dance your Vajra form, shakes three worlds. Your laugh and ceaseless speech rouse three realms. Red light rays suffuse all worlds and peace. Stir and gather world peace essences. Grant the 2 feet our supreme desire. Vajra passions of your own heart mind. With great Vajra hooks and lassos you bind to great bliss all you know and see. Dance play in the endless magic net, like sesame pods burst open with 3 roots power, God hosts vast array. Bliss bless and grant as with respect I pray, for unhindered cities power in all feats high and low that I desire. And now we are going to move into the actual practice waves of splendor. And we begin with homage to the Guru, which is Namo Guru Be, said 3 times. So Namo Guru Be, Namo Guru Be, Namo Guru Be. And then we'll do the 9 breaths that we learned probably months ago. And remembering that we want to try to have our bodies as straight as possible. We put our thumbs on our ring fingers, gently folding our fingers over our thumb. And then to try to straighten the channels, we put our fists right in the psoas and try to straighten the arms as much as possible. And then we begin with the left, and a finger is put up, closing one nostril and breathing hard, less hard, and softly out of the other nostril. So and then once again, breathing in And then for the central channel, we breathe in all the way down and then out as best we can. And then after the 9 breaths, to help clear the channels, we do what's called the purification of the winds. As you know, the whole mind-body makeup includes the channels and the winds. And we begin with 3 times Om, Ah, Hung, Om, Ah, Hung, and Om, Ah, Hung. And then we take a moment for doing the Om, Ah, Hung 21 times. And it's very light. So there is the white Om that comes in, kind of a momentary pause, like a relaxation for the Ah. And then the exhalation is the blue Hung. And making that very easy. And I will use the mala and we'll just count that together. So pause, Ah, Hung, a time for relaxation. Om, Ah, Hung, 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 Om, Ah, Hung. And in our daily practice, the Om Ahung is done silently. And then again, for the purification of speech, this involves clearing of the throat chakra, because the speech is where we make our prayers, we communicate, and we want to make sure that that throat chakra is purified. And our purification is also an offering to the beings, the refuge tree, to all of those that we are connecting with, because we want our speech to be very pure. Gnondro is actually an interactive practice. It's a practice where we connect with not only the magnetizing beings, but we connect with the whole refuge tree from Padmasambhava, Longchangpa, Jigme Lingpa, and we want to make sure that we are doing it in our best. So the purification of speech also begins with another Om Ahung, Om Ahung, Om Ahung. And then we do something very interesting. We have, recognizing most people have a tongue, and with our tongue, we have this Vajra, and imagining that the Vajra is actually cut in half, and our tongue becomes a Vajra. And this is part of the purification. And so we begin our practice with, and I think I'm going to say it first and then chant it. Red Ram, fire burns away my tongue. Now, a tri-spoked Vajra, and again, this is the Vajra, tri-spoke Vajra, of red light. So this Vajra would be red. Letters interrising essence there. So we say, red Ram fire burns away my tongue. Now a tri-spoke Vajra of red light. Letters interrising essence there. Wheels of pearl strands in its hollow core. Their lights gifts, please Buddha's air, return clear speech blocks, yield Vajra voice, all speech blessing cities I receive. And then we do the vowels and consonants of the Tibetan language. We've discussed that the Tibetan language is considered a sacred language in the same way it's said that Hebrew is a sacred language and that each letter contains its own power. So that the wheel of pearl strands is actually mala of a mantra that is happening within our throat chakra, and our tongue is a red Vajra. So wheels of pearl strands in its hollow core, they're lights. So from our throat chakra, lights go out, and the gifts of the lights please Buddha's air. And that's our great intentionality. That's our wanting to walk this path in the deepest way possible. And they in turn are very pleased. And so in return, they assist us in clearing any speech blocks. And then we have a Vajra voice. And then all the speech blessing cities I receive. So then we have the power to both help people, because when we have a Vajra voice, it means that we can respond compassionately, knowingly, and with understanding. And also when we do the rest of our practice, that we have the speech power behind it. So first, if you'll read the radiant white which is set up, the white letters are set up counterclockwise in our throat, but they rotate clockwise. And it says you can do it 3 or 7 times. We'll do it 3 times. And sometimes this is called the Ali Kali. So we do the mantra of the the vowels and consonants. So a, I, u, ri, li, e, o, ma. A, I, u, ri, li, e, o, ma. A, I, u, ri, li, e, o, ma. And then we go down where we have the red consonants, and it's a little bit lower down. And those are set up counterclockwise, but they rotate clockwise. So then we have the kakagaga na, ta 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 na, ta 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 na, papa baba ma, ta 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 na, ya ra la wa sha sha sha. Kakagaga na, cha 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 na, ta 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 na, ta 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 na, papa baba ma, ya ra la wa sha sha sha. Kakagaga na, cha 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 na, ta 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 na, ta 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 na, papa baba ma, ya ra la wa sha sha sha. And then we have the yellow letters at the throat, and they are set up counterclockwise and rotate clockwise. And this is called the Ye Dharma. And Ye Dharma Hitu Chabawa Hitum Tekum Tatagato Hayadat Tekum Cha Yonaroda Ewamari Mahashramana Soha. Ye Dharma Hitu Chabawa Hitum Tekum Tatagato Hayadat Tekum Cha Yonaroda Ewamari Mahashramana Soha. And the Ye Dharma Hitu Chabawa Hitum Tekum Tatagato Hayadat Cha Yo Naroda Ewa Mahashramana Soha is actually something we all know well. It's the law of either dependent, independent origination. So we all know about interdependence. So that is the recognition that all arising upon conditions. And then we move forward. And as I said, this is all about interaction and calling the Lama, which we've talked about in a previous class, calling the Lama from afar. And it has so many different levels. In many ways, we're actually calling ourselves, reminding ourselves of our wisdom. So, and the faith is with Padmasambhava, who brought this strand of Buddhism into Tibet from the area of Pakistan in the deep mountains there, and was known to have been born in a lotus in Danakusha Lake. And so another spontaneous birth arising, and is considered to hold all of the teachings and the powers and hidden many teachings for our time. So we are going to call upon the Lama, the one that knows, which is also within us, which is also ourselves, our ultimate knowing. And so that we wake that up. And in the mornings, we can wake up with calling the Lama, because the Lama resides in our heart, our ultimate wisdom, and it follows a trajectory of our central channel to the top of our head and to rest just above our head. And then it's said that when we call upon the Lama is there. Lama can, Lama can, Lama can. From faith an open flower in my heart, arise, soul refuge, my kind Lama. Coarse deeds and failings now afflict me. Protect me from this difficult lot. Arise, adorn my great bliss crowns we heal. rouse me to be mindful and aware. And then we take a moment where we do feel our heart opening and wisdom presence, Padmasambhava, whatever resonates, comes through the central channel to the top of our head, resting just above for our guidance, for our wisdom, for our connectedness. And then we sing this a little bit quicker, something we've also gone over in our class. Freedom's rare life lost to distraction, despite change, death, mind, grasp permanence, afflictions sway, their effects sure to ensnare me in this suffering swirl. And then we put our hands in prayer as if we're asking, requesting. Swift soul refuge, most loving Lama, transform these minds, my most kind Lama. Rare mortal base, take on real meaning. May I guard pure ethics and leave this world. And then we take a moment and reflect on that request. And we move to the refuge. And we can have our hands in prayer. And the refuge is done 3 times. In 3 real jewels, 3 root bliss-filled ones, channels, winds, bright orbs, this Bodhi mind, essence, nature, moving, love, Mandell, until full Bodhi, I seek refuge. In 3 real jewels, 3 root bliss-filled ones, channels, winds, bright orbs, this Bodhi mind, essence, nature, moving, love, Mandell, until full Bodhi, I seek refuge. And now we can imagine that our chant of refuge goes into the heart of Padmasambhava, and we have heart to heart, mind to mind experience just momentarily. Our refuge becomes connection. And once again, we come into our bodies, and we have our bodhicitta, mind of enlightenment, motivation 3 times. And we've also gone over this. Oh, like moons in water, sights deceive us. We ever roam bound in cyclic chains, so all may rest in their clear mind sphere. I raise Bodhi through 4 boundless states. Oh, like moons in water, sights deceive us. We ever roam bound in cyclic chains, so all may rest in their clear mind sphere. I raise Bodhi through 4 boundless states. And after another, ho, like moons and waters, sights deceive us. We ever roam bound in cyclic chains, so all may rest in their clear mind sphere. I raise Bodhi through 4 boundless states. And now we can feel that the feelings of refuge from the refuge tree, from Padmasambhava, dissolve into us, and all of the good qualities become ours. And now with our good qualities, we also want to do further purification with the Vajrasattva that we spent a couple of sessions going over. And now we have the image and the feeling of the Vajrasattva Yabum above our head. Ah, at my crowned on lotus moon, from whom Lama Dorje Sem, white jeweled clear with Vajra bell, around whose Yabum moon hard whom mantra circles, nectar flows, cleansing ills, harms, faults, and blocks. And we do the 100-syllable mantra, and for the purpose of this evening, we'll do it one time. The text says to do it 21 times. And of course, when we accumulate our Gnondro accumulations, it's 100,000 times. Om Benja Sata Samaya Manupalaya Benja Sata Tenupa Tishta Jado Mebawa Sutta Kayo Mebawa Supo Kayo Mebawa Anurakta Mebawa Sarasiti Mechayatsa Sara Karma Tsutsame Sridam Shridam Guru Hung Ha 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 Ho Bhagawan Sarvatata Gata Benjamame Munsa Benjripa Samaya Sata Ahum Pe. Dorsum light melts into me, beings, Buddhas, world's pure land. And so the Vajrasattva Yabum dissolves through our crown chakra into our heart center. And then we have the 6th syllable of Vajrasattva, who's the being of light, circling our heart center, and we do a very short mantra of Om Benzer Sata Hung, and we will do that for 1 mala because it's very, very quick. And the Hung is at our heart center, very fine, almost like drawn with one little part of a brush, very, very fine. Om Benja Sata Hum, 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 Om Benja Hung, Om Benja Satahung, 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 Om Benja Satahung. Satahung and Benja Satahung and Benja Satahung and Benja Satahung, Satahung and Benja Satahung and Benja Satahung and Benja Satahung, and Benja Satahung and Benja Satahung and Benja Satahung and Benja Satahung, Satahung and Benja Satahung and Benja Satahung and Benja Satahung, and Benja Satahung and Benja Satahung and Benja Satahung, and Benja Satahung and Benja Satahung and Benja Satahung. And Benja Satahung and Benja Satahung and Benja Satahung and Benja Satahung. Om Benja Satahung and Benja Satahung and Benja Satahung. Om Benja Satahung and Benja Satahung and Benja Satahung. Om Benja Satahung and Benja Satahung and Benja Satahung. Om Benja Satahung and Benja Satahung and Benja Satahung. Om Benja Satahung and Benja Satahung and Benja Satahung. Om Benja Satahung and Benja Satahung and Benja Satahung. Om Benja Satahung and Benja Satahung and Benja Satahung. Om Benja Satahung and Benja Satahung and Benja Satahung. Om Benja Satahung and Benja Satahung and Benja Satahung. Om Benja Satahung. Om Benja Satahung. And now when we move into the mandala offerings, which we also talked about at the time of the teaching a few weeks ago, we used the mandala pan and the jewels. During our daily practice, we may not have all our equipment, mandala pan and jewels, so we can make what's called the mudra of offering, and that is crossing our baby fingers and then holding them with our thumbs. And we make Mount Meru and the four continents, and then we have all of our gifts of offerings, whatever they may be, and we can do the mandala with our mudra. Om Ahung, three Kaya lands, ocean in one drop, endless such in each tiny atom, offered now to refuge oceans so, goodness, wisdom, both needs now complete. Idam, Guru, Mandala, Kam Niryata Ya, me. And then we do what we last learned, the severance. Pet. Wrong recreum, essence soars to space. Me sends false forms, good things for our feast. Gifts, clouds for guests, come enjoy them all. Be in stainless Dharma, Kaya state. Pet. So that is a review of the portions that we have done so far. We will be carrying on to learn the blessings, to receive the blessings, and really to enter the whole mandala of the Gnondro. So this is a run through, and the practice can be done, as we've talked about, the practice can be opened in the morning. Some of the pieces can be done. It can be closed in the evening, or it can all be done in the morning, or perhaps just a segment. But if we're going to learn the whole Gnondro, then it is helpful to know how to run through it, to actually do it. And once again, this evening, what is being added and emphasized is that the Gnondro is actually a very dynamic practice, because we're, in a way, for some of us, meeting new friends. We're meeting the magnetizing beings. We're meeting Padmasambhava. We're meeting the lineage of Longchenpa and Jigme Lingpa, and we're connecting with them. And these are, whether they are felt as energies or whether they're studied and known as great beings who've lived in the past, or whether it's very heart-centered and our devotion is bringing in the refuge tree. However it is that we are connecting, we make that connection, and it's quite incredible, because when we make that connection, just like meeting some friendly people, at a gathering, whether it's a party or a business conference, or maybe a family reunion of people who one hasn't met. But just in the same way, we many times meet people who really want to be of benefit. So this is a reaching out, this is a calling forward, and in a way, it's really the opening of our own heart to ourselves. And it includes all of the different practices. So when we say essence, nature, heart, move, mandala, that's our Dzogchen, that's our ground of being, that's that responsiveness where compassion is just a natural response. And so we have everything there. And we're also realistic that we are all still walking the path, and we need to sometimes do a little bit more purification. We need to pause for a moment and reflect on the precious human birth. Or we also need to know that we can make offerings even if they're visualized, and also that we can, if we have these karmic debts that we may or may not know about, that there is a way to satisfy those involved. And something else that I was reading today, which is that the Gnondro really helps to resolve confused karma. And I love that phrase because sometimes it's hard to know what's going on. It's just confused karma. So the Gnondro is very well laid out, and it really sets a new ground. It's a place for us to come back to, and we're with more friends. We have friends who may be unseen. They might be the dakinis who can go through space and be helpful, but it's definitely a connection. So we're going to pause here, and in the coming weeks, when we meet again, we will go and talk a little bit more about Padmasambhava, a very famous 7-line prayer, which is very much part of the Gnondro practice and many of the practices that are done. And also, what are these blessings? And let's also generate those. So we have some really beautiful steps to take together, but we have put together the spring, the summer, and the fall in coming together and doing our Gnondro practice. And we're going to continue to include the Gnondro practice during each session, perhaps a little more quickly, and then to learn the different segments as well. So I want to thank you for everybody's participation. And then if Droma could read the closing prayers. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great.
Okay. By this good may I swiftly once become a great guru and lead all beings, everyone, to reach to that very ground.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And we're going to, as we always do, take our